red side, we have Firestarter and Patton, who are ZHG. And over on the blue side, we have Orcbuster and Tierra, who are Finland for DLC. And this is Highway to Seoul. Shall we do the countdown?
I think we should.
3, 2, 1, go. And what decks are we looking at today?
So, that's a good question, and I will tell you right now. We have the Commonwealth deck for Tierra, and we have Brigaden I Ser Nodge, which I think is Norwegian motorized. Let me just check. I think that's Norwegian motorized. Obviously, Orcbuster is coming out with the lovely nationalism right there. I like it. Firestarter is using his Eastern Bloc deck, and Patton's using his Softcoat Armored deck, which coincidentally is called AutoWin Mr. Softcoat. I'm sure there's a story behind that. And anyway, we see the deployments going on the way, so let's take a look over on the red side. We have a T90S coming out, 2 T90Ss actually. Interesting that Patton prefers the T90S over the BU. He's got 2 of those. Although I suppose with the engagement ranges on these maps, especially around the Delta area, the ATGM missiles aren't quite as effective because you're usually going to be in gun range.
Well, I think the ATGMs could still be decent, honestly. Like the T90, the reason I love it is because you don't have to micromanage the ATGM. Because I'm lazy.
Maybe Patton's lazy too.
Yeah, maybe he is. They do have a Buratino they just put down. That's going to be pretty devastating, I believe. We do have a Tunguska there supporting. A couple of Snezkas and a T72M2 Wilk. I mean, I would say if you haven't already, start jotting down, like for the viewers, start jotting down some of like the units that you see quite often, because basically they'll be the best units that you can get on certain decks, and it really helps you to build your own decks. And if you can start to learn why certain units are better than others, then it actually makes it very easy for you guys to build your own decks around that. And I would say that's probably the best advice for making a deck, is learn the best units, learn why they are the best units, and then from then on you can distinguish the best units for yourself.
I think that's the key, just knowing why a unit's good, because that way, even if there's changes in the future, you can kind of look at a unit and then decide whether it's any decent or not. But we do see on the right-hand side here with Orcbuster and Tierra, they're deploying a very similar deployment to before, except Tierra, a man after my own heart, 2 Challenger 2s. Let's go.
Love it.
This is definitely, I think, what he was missing in the game against Legates and Captains, but we'll have to see, because the reason they lost on this game, this map even, oh my god, Val equals Trout again, and Pan this time. Hurts my feelings.
Damn it.
3 times.
Well,
3 times.
It's just as well they can do pings, because Firestarter can't play the game.
Well, that's true. I mean, beast mode activated. I'm not sure Firestarter. You don't even have a Buratino. How can you start fires? But the game is underway.
Oh, and, nice short deployment. I love that.
Yeah, I appreciate the short deployment. We do see a few helicopters coming out, just some recon for Firestarter and a CV to go to Foxtrot quickly. Tierra's doing the same thing. He has a Fast Lynx and a Bell 204 with some Falskimiyaga recon, I think. I hope I'm not butchering that pronunciation. Going to the top side of Echo. I do hope that Tierra and Orcbuster do kind of prioritize the sectors a bit better this game, because that was one of the things they did kind of wrong, I suppose, in the last one on this map. They can't really afford. I mean, they have pinged in golf, so hopefully they will play a bit of hardball in those sectors.
Yeah, I think it's important that they actually send units down to Charlie this time, and also if they can get into Bravo pretty quickly, use the high ground from Bravo to secure Delta much better. This bottom side, I don't expect much to come down here. Maybe this Bell will go all the way around and drop off a random squad like this OT-64C from Firestarter to the bottom left. Looks like that's going to go on a long drive around the bottom side of the map. But we'll have to wait and see. Tierra's troops are dropping out. and heading down towards Charlie now. So that's great to see. Orkbuster also moving into Charlie. Hopefully they don't focus too much on Charlie now instead of Delta and sort of do the opposite as they did in their last game, because otherwise that would just lead to the same outcome of them losing. But seems so far, I mean, they've got the recon there. I think that's all they really need at the moment. They've got some, the Vickers Mark 11 might be able to take out a few APCs for them. The Leopard 105 NO2 as well, pretty decent. But now these infantry squads moving into the forests, pushing towards Gulf. I like to see that. And hopefully Orkbuster can drop out this XA 180 squad before it gets completely destroyed. There's Eric's missiles attacking the Specialny Jednotki.
Yeah, a nice job to trying to load that there, but unfortunately there's Genio. I don't even know. I tried, I'm sorry. But he hasn't loaded the rest of his forces. He can move the infantry out, and he does have his Leopard 105 NO2, which I actually really like. Really nice damage on the gun there. But unfortunately, totally outclassed by a M2 Wilk. So
yeah, the M2 Wilk's gonna have a field day with that Leopard 105 NO2 and the Panzer Bill as well if it gets line of sight. Volskamjägers though with the Eric's missile, if they can get close enough, could do some damage, but it's going to be a long run as they get peppered across the open by the cannon from that tank. Some Buratino fire coming across onto the Milan 2 squad of Tierra. Looks like they were trying to dislodge that before they started moving their tanks forwards. Leopard 105 NO2 is going to get wrecked by the T90s in the center sector at Delta. But the two Charlie 2s now coming down from Tierra. We'll see what sort of damage he can do with those. I'm just hoping that he doesn't fall prey to any airstrikes that could really mess him up.
I do have to question having the Challenger 2s in a stack of 2. A little extreme. I mean, personally, I would say those Challenger 2s might have been slightly better positioned down where that Coyote is, by the big highway. Because they are in a bit of a dangerous position in that tree line, just because of the infantry attack that can come through.
Yeah, they aren't being focused very well. I mean, like, the worst thing about having them in a group of 2 is that you can't micromanage them properly. And what that's going to do is cause them... Oh, the SU-27M went down!
Those tracked rapiers.
Wow, Tierra did something that no other team could do and shoot
they shot down the M.
the SU-27M. I mean, technically it wasn't RKKA's SU-27M, but it was an SU-27M.
SU-27M.
Yeah, that was something special.
You know what? That napalm as well has provided a nice little smoke screen for the Challenger 2s to reverse to, actually.
Yeah, so they might get away with that. Or the T90S is hot on their tail, and it looks like the Buratino is going to try and stop their retreat by panicking them even more. So the T90Ss will continue their advance, but like I was saying, the reason you don't have Challenger 2s in one squad is so that you can micromanage them both separately. T90S did take a direct hit to the front armour, but the Challenger 2 did go down to a reply shot, and now we've got a Challenger 2. Ooh! The Vickers Mark 11 got a side shot onto the T90S reversing out the bush.
That was
what
beautiful.
A hero.
Unfortunately going to die by throwing into his moat shoots him, but he lived a strong life, you know?
Yeah, I think those Commanders 90 just side hit the T90S as well as it tried to maneuver. So that Challenger 2 has a good chance of killing the T90S if it can reload quicker.
That's definitely true.
Oh,
I mean, I have
it missed!
Oh,
it missed in the T90S. It gets the accurate shot to take out the Challenger 2. That should have been a Charlie 2 kill on the T90S there. That was some bad luck.
Some bad luck indeed, although
God.
I think the Charlie 2 is still shaken. But I just want to bring attention to the fact that Firestarter doesn't have a CV in Gulf yet, and Charlie is occupied by Orkbuster, which means that Orkbuster is better than Firestarter.
Yeah, I mean, look
right.
at this. Firestarter's just like
his own, you know?
is easily proving that he's the worst player in this tournament by being beaten by Orkbuster and Tierra at this point in the game. There's a +1 income lead for Orkbuster and Tierra, and
I mean,
Finland for DLC.
His only hope is Patton, really. Can Patton stream snipe them? I mean, we have to find out.
I think Patton's going to have to use his power of stream sniping and bring about this game. He's going to have to get that T90S back and repaired, and then he can use that to fire position the enemy's CV in Bravo all the way from Delta, because you know you can do that. These M8 Panzerbills coming down the road in Charlie. Looks like they're going to discover the recon infantry moving through the bottom side. Mi-25 has been spotted on the backside of Charlie as well. He's going to have to get rid of that as soon as possible. This F-16AM, not exactly the best choice to take that out. Ideally, he wants to get some wheeled AA to come as soon as possible to sort that out. The second HGM, or the second infrared AA missile, is not going to hit. It's taking its time.
Taking its time, but you know what? I still believe in Orkbuster, personally.
See, he should have used the puff. He should have used the puff. That would have been perfect for shooting down that helicopter.
That would have been perfect, but these. Oh, speaking of the puff, this puff is unfortunately no longer a puff. They're now dead.
It's a puff of smoke.
A puff of smoke. That was a good one.
As he goes down to the Tunguska M. Yeah, unfortunately there, the micromanagement from that Tunguska M does mean that will die. The rover KPV at the backside of Charlie has just been spotted, which is not good for Orkbuster whatsoever. Was that a blue plane just went down there?
I think so.
Yeah, an F-16 did get shot down in or over Gulf. So things kind of falling apart.
No, it's a very poor attempt. A very poor attempt at a flank by Firestarter, though. I'm kind of disappointed with him. He's let Snezka go up there and run out of ammo, and that's just. I expected better, you know. Just expected better from him, and Pan's just carrying all this weight. And you know what a good job he's doing as well. He's pushed them out of Delta, and he's pushing into Echo as well.
I mean, it took Firestarter like a solid 10 seconds to kill that commando squad. And he definitely should have done it so much quicker than that. Like, seriously, I don't know what he's trying to do here. Why is he not using his recon properly to spot that Aslav PC that's really low on health? There's just so many misplays coming out of Firestarter. He's just not playing very well at all. I
mean, look at all this infantry he's got up in the Echo sector, and he's not pushed it yet. It's bad.
So anyway, Tierra's coming into Delta with the Challenger 2, and he's trying to face off against the T90S of Patton, who's carrying Firestarter really hard at the moment. And I mean, the engagement is happening. 1 damage done to the T90S at max range. Both of these tanks are going to be doing 1 damage to each other.
If Tierra can unload these Commandos 90, I assume, quickly enough. That
would be really good. Although that rocket from the most shoots, and yeah, just meant those Commandos 90s came out a little bit too late. The 2 left in the forest, though, with that heavy cover, should be able to contend with those most shoots quite nicely. 2 1,000 kilogram bombs from the Fighting Falcon. Are they going to be dropped? No, they're not.
Nope, they're not. And a nice crit, dude, on that Challenger 2, unfortunately. Weapons jammed. Having to pull back, because at that range, the Challenger 2 actually does beat out the T90S, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately the F-16 did go down to the Tunguska M. I'm not entirely sure why that F-16 was taking a sightseeing trip over to Tunguska M, but whatever floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat. Whatever flies your plane.
Whatever flies your plane or crashes it.
I mean, this game isn't looking too good, unfortunately, for Orkbuster and Tierra. They have been pushed very hard in Delta, very soon to lose that. They're still holding on in Echo. Firestarter's quite bad. And they're still holding in Charlie. Again,
yeah, I think the distribution of forces in this game is much better than any of their previous games, for sure. Orkbuster and Tierra are definitely putting up a much better fight than they have done previously, and considering Firestarter and Patton are one of the better teams, in my opinion, in this group, it's definitely good to see them putting up a nice fight. Although the 2 Challenger 2s that they lost against the T90Ss really meant that they lost the center sector at Delta, and I think that's really what put them behind in this game, which led to the +1 income lead for Firestarter and Patton, and slowly in the top side as well. They couldn't reinforce it properly because they've had to like move the Bisons over the open across the field. It's taken them quite a while to get there, and it's basically given Firestarter enough time, because he needed so much, in order to actually control Echo properly.
I mean, look at this underhanded recon squad that Firestarter's put into, near alpha. That's the mark of a weak player who can't really, win on fair grounds. We should probably give some actual commentary, but it's just too fun.
It's just too fun.
Just too fun. There is a nice push coming through that Patton's directing Firestarter to do, down in the bottom side. Patton's obviously the genius behind this. And unfortunately for Ogbust and Tiara, this game is quite done really. They've lost too many heavy units. That Challenger 2 is sitting back and they haven't brought any repairs for it over in Boris, or Bravo even, not Boris. I think honestly, Ogbust and Tiara, they had the right idea this game. They definitely did. It has been a much better attempt than their previous game on this map, where they really didn't kind of organise it properly. And oh my god, Ogbust said you might want to look at the other side. Look at Ogbust's recon. This is a mark of how bad Firestar is, because he can't, find that recon and destroy it. So close.
Unfortunately, if that was a better recon squad, that might have been able to actually do some damage.
That's true. It only has the rubbish lot. That is one thing I do feel very strongly about, and I think most of the sort of better players will feel the same. If you're going to bring a recon infantry squad, bring a combat infantry squad, because, and I've actually been told that Priad coined this term from Faust, at least Faust told me Priad coined this term, which is card efficiency. Which is kind of the value of the unit you put in the slot in your deck, because obviously you can only have so many units in your deck, and so what you want to do is you want to make the most out of that. And if you have just a cheap 5-man recon squad, you might think it's great to spam about, but those infantry are basically useless when it comes to actually fighting. So I think you really want to use combat infantry. You want to kind of really take the fight to the enemy, use your recon infantry in a dual role. That's one of the reasons why the Dutch recon tank is so good, because it fills that role of a nice medium tank with recon stats, and also it has a bit of stealth stats as well, I think, because of the recon stealth buff. Well, buff is the wrong word, but the recon stealth stat.
Yeah, I'm interested to see here, like, Tiara's actually making ground back into Delta. He is unfortunately still losing infantry in the open in these APCs, and that is costing him quite a lot. Every time an APC is hit before the infantry comes out, it's just like that. If that infantry squad comes out in range of an enemy squad, it almost always dies. It's as simple as that, because they get like stunned and panicked, and it's just not a good place to be. And unfortunately, letting that happen really does waste a lot of points, and it means that those Pathfinders will not be as effective at fighting against the Moat Schutzen as they probably should be. But still, it's interesting to see that infantry squads still coming out of the woodwork, still harassing Firestarter and Rasman. Rasman? Where the hell's Rasman?
Rasman's
Patton.
nowhere.
Firestarter and Patton. They're definitely still making this difficult and not giving up easy. And unfortunately, the Challenger 2 there did just get hit by a nasty HGM from the T80UM. Challenger 2 just coming down behind the trees quick enough, gets a cheeky shot towards the T80UM but doesn't actually hit, and now has a firing computer reset from the crit previously.
To be fair to Tiara, he's actually done quite a good job at pushing back. Unfortunately not quite enough, but considering this team has had quite a lot of trouble, well, I say trouble, they've just had quite a hard time in this tournament. I'm actually quite impressed by them this game, because they've shown a real improvement, I think, throughout their games. Not enough to really compete with Patton and Firestar, I think, but like they have definitely improved, and it's quite nice to see.
Yeah, I think
also, sorry, go on.
MiG that's coming in on the side is going to be going for a bombing strike onto that HQ section. I think they did spot that possibly. So a bombing strike going to be coming in soon to wipe that out, or maybe even the SAS. We'll have to wait and see.
That's going to land just off, I think. Oh, yeah, just
yeah.
off. Oh, right. Good
Wow,
guess,
HQ section remains safe for now.
They do. I have to say though, I do stand corrected because I got a message from Orkbuster and he did make a good point. He's actually just playing Norwegian, so that recon infantry squad he had is pretty much the best the Norwegians actually have. So, fair play, fair play.
I mean, he's doing pretty well considering he's running just a pure Norwegian deck. You kind of expect him to be rolled over a bit quicker, to be honest, if that was the case. It actually begs the question, if they brought in a more competitive deck, do you think that in this game they would have had a better chance, or do you think it's just tactical play that has left them a bit wanting?
Honestly, I think it's just been micro. Plus, you know, Wargame is one of those games where macro play is just as important as micro play, I think. You can't win game, or you can't be very good, I think, just by being really good with your micro. You need to know the types of units to use, where to put them, and kind of overall good strategy. But at the same time, I think with Orkbuster and Tiara, it's just one of those things where it's just something you pick up, over time. It certainly took me a very long time to learn to micro units in a more effective way. And, I mean, I don't profess to be as good as these guys, like Patton and Faust and Emma Alexander, you know, the top names in Wargame at the moment. Because these guys have like a great understanding of the sort of micro, and Razman, of course, don't forget Razman. They have a really good understanding of micro, and they also know what to do with that micro. And throughout this tournament, I think like this game has seen pretty reasonable macro play, like not crazy amazing from Orkbuster and Tiara, but they've done like a decent kind of standard opening.
Yeah, I think they figured out the map this time round for sure.
Yeah, much better than the last game, definitely improvement. But again, I think the micros just let them down, and that's just something that you have to pick up over time. And you know, it's one of those things that you can only learn by seeing it done before you, and then kind of like realizing, because you know, it's sort of like the right way to play. Well, that's kind of a bit of a sort of bad term, but like the optimum way to handle your units has kind of been worked out over a long period of time in Wargame since E. It's been around for quite a few years now. And so things like splitting bombs, radar turning on and off, being kind of cautious and using line of sight to your advantage, it's just things that you have to kind of see other people do, try and imitate, and then if you practice it enough, you'll pick it up, really.
Yeah, so anyway, we've been missing a little bit of the action. I mean, the Buratino just came in and slaughtered some of Orkbuster's Storm Engineer, and it looks like we just got the surrender out of Tiara and Orkbuster. There was a really nice bombing strike from an SU-22 that did kill a lot of infantry. But there we have it. After 19 minutes and 45 seconds, the surrender vote comes from Finland for DLC. And that means that ZHG are the winners with a wonderful KD, 3,875 kills to 1,625 losses. So, yeah, good job by Patton carrying Firestarter to victory, and
definitely,
yeah, commiserations to Orkbuster and Tiara for their best performance yet, in my opinion.
I definitely think it was. I mean, again, you know, it's really nice to see, you know, how kind of people can make sort of pretty big leaps and bounds, I think. You know, even with Orkbuster playing his Norwegian only deck, they put up a pretty decent fight, to be honest. So yeah, really congratulations for that. Although, unfortunately for them, there still wasn't quite enough to clinch the win.